Hello all my friends on Facebook, on YouTube. When you see the video, it's me, Hans from Project Lights Out, and this is my newest live stream. And my special guest is Sylvain Henry, a very great man. And okay, it's better that he will tell you who he is and what he's doing. So Sylvain, welcome to the show, and yeah, it's your turn.
Okay, thank you very much, Hans. It's always a pleasure chatting with you on your show, and also looking at your YouTube videos. I appreciate all that you do for the sake of truth and the sake of peace. And as a brief introduction for myself, for those who don't know me, during the day I'm a recruiter for a firm of that deals mostly with engineers, that kind of people, scientists, and during my free time, evenings and weekends, and sometimes during lunch, I'm involved in a continual process of standing for the truth and trying to wake up as many people as possible for what I consider, well, what we both consider to be critical matters that affect most people on the planet. And two of these matters I'd like to discuss today. I don't know what your agenda is, but the two that I hold dear to my heart is the question of peace and also the truth about chemtrails. Well, regarding peace, I've been following the how do you say, the conflict between the Western world, primarily U.S., U.K., and Israel versus Iran and other countries in the Middle East that are mostly of the Muslim faith.
Yep.
Now, I've been following them for several years, and I saw the build-up, as many of us did, of the weapons, high-technology weapons that surround the country of Iran and the battleships that are already in position. So everybody, most people who do not rely on mainstream media as their sole source of news will probably know that we are at a critical juncture here with regards to not only peace in the Middle East, but world peace. Many people know that if there is an attack against Iran, because such an attack is being proposed by Israel, is being considered a military attack by the United States and the UK.
Yep.
Now, it's been in the works for a very, very long time. Now, it seems from the information that I'm gathering, not only have the army, the military have been ready on all sides for a long period of time, but there's been a continual economic attack on those countries, all things which are, by the way, illegal, okay? And there's no grounds for doing that. There's no threat to the United States, and there's no evidence to support any threat from Iran. Iran is a more peaceful country than has been the United States, and has not been involved in wars for several hundred years, apart from the one with Iraq, which is beyond the scope of this discussion. So now, regarding this situation, I ask myself, what can a common citizen like me do about this situation to help diffuse it? Because it seems it's going to be coming to a head in October from the information I'm gathering. And the risk is that if there is an attack against Iran, that Russia and China will be involved, and they will most likely side with Iran, and that could be a serious war. Even if it is a limited nuclear strike war, okay, the effect, according to Dr. Stephen Starr of the University of Missouri, who studied the subject for a long time, even a very limited war will impact the whole world, but primarily Western North America. Okay, it will affect crop cycles, it will affect temperature, it will affect growing cycles, it will, not to mention radiation sickness. And incidentally, in case many people don't know, it might be a good idea to perhaps consider stocking up on potassium iodide, because several states which have nuclear power plants are dispensing to their populations through the mayor some potassium iodide tablets with information not to ingest them until such a time that the the state or the municipality will tell them to do so. So in other words, there's a certain preparedness. So I asked myself, what can we do? So right now I will just list in point form what I have done in the past and what I intend to do. Some successes, some near successes, and some failures. But I am committed for several years now to make a difference with my friends. I can't do it alone.
Okay.
So I will, if you don't mind, I'll just list them. Back several years ago, I invited Arun Gandhi, who's the grandson of the late Mahatma Gandhi, the great soul. His grandfather was shot when he was about 14 years old in India. And this was one of the greatest men of peace in human history. I was lucky to have him say yes, that he would come to my event, and we greeted him with 350 people. I made sure to it that the High Commissioner of South Africa, His Excellency Dr. Nkomo, also the Ambassador for India and Sri Lanka, and anyways, 5 representatives of nations were present at this event, which was attended by about 350 people. And incidentally, the mainstream media was invited. I was to this event. All the reporters and journalists of the 3 different media, the TV, radio, and newsprint, contacted me. They were all interested. Not one came. And I was warned by one of their editors-in-chief not to contact any of their journalists ever again. He didn't tell me why, but he wasn't happy that I was bringing Gandhi to town. So anyways, the second surprise in organizing this event was that I also invited, because this is Ottawa, where we had the event, the capital of Canada, which is also the capital of many national headquarters for peace associations, peace clubs, peace groups, and I invited them all, and guess what? They were all interested, and not one of them showed up. It seemed like, us peace activists compete with each other, and that's not a good thing. Anyways, I tried my best. The event was reasonably successful, but it didn't attain the result I wanted, but it allowed me to walk into certain embassies and suggest some ideas, particularly with respect to the connection between peace and prosperity, because I'm a staunch believer that you can't have peace anywhere if the prosperity is not shared to a more, just level. Okay. So, anyways, the second point was thing I did is the International Interfaith Prayer Day for World Peace. Some 4,000 people participated in this prayer day, which was started on the 4th of 4th of May, back several years ago, and we continued this interfaith prayer day without a hitch for several months, like the 4th day of each month. It didn't produce any results. Eventually it dwindled to nothing, but many people remember me because of that day. But it didn't produce any results. I thought it would. Anyways, it was certainly worth a try. I sure did make a whole lot of friends. So following that, a lot of people who participated in the prayer day, I invited them to form a group called A Million Citizens Who Want to Prevent a war between Iran and Israel, which I shortened to Citizens Want Peace, because it's a fact. So we are between 2,000 and 3,000 members in that group. I've made some great friendships, both in Iran and as well as in Israel. Okay. And I'm glad to say that many members are from these 2 countries, and they're talking to each other, and we don't have a conflict at all. So I'm proud, even though we haven't achieved much yet, but at least we're a peaceful, comfortable community, even if it's a virtual one. The third thing, which you, Hans, are familiar with, is the Green Light Project for World Peace.
I promoted it too.
Yeah, you were a big part of it.
Yep.
And so we encouraged people to turn on a green light and in front of the window facing the street. And many people did it, and they took some pictures of their house at night. And you did also, Hans. I remember your
Exactly.
photo, and I appreciate that. And you told your friends as well.
Hmm.
And apparently, some 600 people participated in this fourth attempt at peace. And the general idea being that we should make peace more visible. We
Hmm.
should make peace lovers and peacekeepers and peacemakers more visible to the world. So that again was another failure, but made more friends. So
Hmm.
which is always a good thing.
Exactly. Let me tell you something about the green lights, because here in Mexico, I also promoted it, and I got an interview in a radio station in Mexico City, but it was not live. They made it first, and then they didn't send it. I got a message from the girl who made the interview with me. Well, it was a guy, but the girl made the contact, and she even got fired, and the interview never was on air. So it seems they don't want, not even that we are talking about peace, because I thought radio, because it was not an internet radio station, it was a normal FM radio station, with a lot of people who are listening this, and so I thought with this I can reach a lot of people who are not familiar with all these issues. Sorry, and yeah, they cancelled everything, and so Mexico doesn't know, for example, about the green lights. Only the people who know me on Facebook, for example, or the YouTube channel when I uploaded the video which we made in the past. Do you remember? So
Yeah.
it's, I mean, only just a few people, maybe thousands, but we are millions who need peace. No, all the planet needs peace. In fact, so
Yeah.
it's like we are criticized, or how you say, censored from the mainstream media. So it's very difficult. I don't know in other countries, but here in Mexico, I also wrote to many reporters, TV stations, other radio stations, but I not even got an answer. I told them, look, I have this and this idea. Give me a chance to talk about it, or you can interview me, or whatever, and nothing. So it's very difficult, and I think the only way we can bring the words out is sharing. For example, this live stream, now it's live, but then I will upload it to YouTube, that you people please uh, forward the link from the video, and talk about it, and just like this we can get the word out, because mainstream media is controlled, is censored, and it's very difficult to make something. And the worst thing is that the most people are still believing the TV stations and the radio stations, because they think, this is the truth, you know. So it's not the truth, it's just brainwashing. I call this like brainwashing machine, all this stuff, you know. Okay, so that was my personal experience about the Green Light project, which I thought also I could make something here in Mexico, and nothing. So it also failed. Okay.
But this this project, thanks for the feedback, because
Hmm.
you're saying that the mainstream media will not promote peacemakers. Well, I think that's very true, and it's historical. But there's something else I discovered,
Hmm.
because I asked myself at the time the very same question you asked, and but I also asked it differently. I said, who cares about peace in this world, and who doesn't care about peace? Is it just the mainstream media and the politicians that don't care about peace? So what I did is I created an online poll using LinkedIn, and using another one using Google Docs,
Hmm.
because you can create forms with Google Docs. It's free and it's very convenient. And I asked the question, who wants peace, and who sees the value of peace and who sees the value of war. I was surprised. I was shocked to see that the majority of the people who responded did not want peace, did not favor peace, did not see the value in peace, and we, the peacemakers, are a minority, according to the two polls that I made. And I asked these people why, and these people were ordinary people. There were some involved in construction, plumbing, and so on. And they're saying that peace is not profitable. Peace is not an industry. And whereas war, you gain something. You gain natural resources. You develop technologies. You gain supremacy and dominance in the world and your country. And I was surprised to hear that ordinary citizens, a lot of them felt that way. Mm-hmm. But they don't think of the consequences because, as in all wars, they think that they'll win, Mm-hmm. But even Hitler was unpleasantly surprised to see that he couldn't conquer Europe and make the New World Order of Europe. But thanks for your feedback, because I want to see, because our mission is not only to circumvent the mainstream media, but it's also to convince the citizens who are on the fence or who are not enlightened as to the risks that we have, that war is dangerous. But anyways, the vision of having green lights lit up in skyscrapers at night in cities, and so that people can see it from a commercial flight, mm-hmm. flying over a city, was not realized, but it was an idea. Mm-hmm. But regarding the Green Light Project, when I was 15, got the idea because I was on a Catholic retreat, mm-hmm. and my, my prize for being a good boy for the first week in this Catholic retreat, the priest told me, he said, you're free to go in the village and do whatever you want. And I was in a Scandinavian village, and they had a red light district. Uh-huh. That's the first place I went to see. I was okay. So curious. We don't have those districts here in Ottawa or, Gatineau. And so I went down, and they had these giant hearts that were lit up. There was a light inside of them, and they were red, hanging mm-hmm. over the streets. And so that was the red light district. And so that was a great tourist attraction there. And it's been for, I don't know how many years, but that red light district is still there today, and it's been there at least for 50 years. Uh-huh. So I just thought that maybe a green light district or a green light street could make the movement fun. You got to add the element of fun,
Exactly.
I always have my green light on at night, and my son doesn't like it because it doesn't give an awful lot of light, but I sure attract the neighbors' attention because they look up, and I don't have any crooks inside my apartment because everybody who walks by the street, drives by the street, sees this green light, and they say, what the heck's going on in there? Uh-huh. Anyways, so that's the Green Light Project. Yeah. And the next thing that we did is I created a website, citizenswantpeace.org. Okay. And it seems the only page people visit on my on my website. I'm not a great website designer, but I just had to have put something there so people can contact me. Mm-hmm. Was the page that talks about the 1001 peace actions. Actually, on the page there are only about 504 peace actions. The other 500 I keep hidden because these are for the more serious people. Okay. The first 500 don't require any money or practically no money, and any citizen can do it. And those who are more interested and who've been through that, they can contact me for the other list. So that was the web page. The other thing is we tried to make a peace commercial, and I had an idea in my mind, a vision of how it would be involving children in Iran and children in Israel. Mm-hmm. I got the entire team ready to do this, all on a volunteer basis, of course, because I think I was homeless at the time. Now, thanks to God, I'm back in middle class again. Mm-hmm. And what happened was that we had a problem with Iran because, as you know, perhaps there's censorship of the internet more than we have here. well, there's censorship everywhere. And I respect,
Continue.
actually, I found an actress, an Iranian, beautiful Iranian actress to help us with the commercial. But as she got deeper into it, she got warned by whoever. You know, she has family there. And anyways, I didn't want to risk anybody because then our whole movement would perhaps die. But one good thing came of it. Even though we never made the commercial, even though it's still in script and storyboard, is that one of our friends, this person doesn't want to be named at this point because this person lives in a Muslim country, and but we were invited by a group of peacemakers from different nations in Asia. The meeting took place in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. And many of you will know Kuala Lumpur as the city that made a trial to find George Bush guilty of crimes against humanity. Now, this was an actual court case involving professional lawyers and judges. However, George Bush wasn't there to defend himself. They just went through the process. They went through the evidence, and anyways, they found him guilty, and that was the end of it. And then they made their information, their results available to the public. Well, in the very same city, there was a meeting of people from different Muslim Asian countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, and so on. I mean predominantly Muslim. And they got together to discuss peace because they're very concerned about what's happening in the Middle East. As many people know, that in the Middle East, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq, and many of these countries are being invaded by us, you know, not us, but those who are supposed to represent us. And they're very concerned because they think they might even be next. So what happened, they contacted me through my friend over there, and because they found out about our group, Citizens Want Peace. And they invited us at this meeting, and this meeting was attended by government officials. And the purpose of the meeting is to come up with 20 recommendations that they could agree on, so that they could present to the United Nations. And the 20 recommendations were presented at the United Nations, and one of them was the peace commercial. They liked it. It was simple. What we proposed to them was very simple. And I'd like to pursue with that peace commercial as soon as we have some real people in Iran who can be actors for us, and there will be no consequences for them. So I haven't given up on that. It was a scary one at the time because I don't want to risk anybody. But if it has the blessing of, you know, some government officials there, I'm sure we'd have millions of citizens who would audition for these roles. So that was the peace commercial. I'll tell you the last thing I did, and which is perhaps the most successful so far. And after you tell me what you did, then I'll tell you what I plan to do after that. But the last thing I did was more of a personal thing. And because, well, anyways, here's what I did. I created a peace journal on my website, and then I told myself I'm going to think peace, focus on peace, talk about peace for as long as I can, and to see if that will have an impact. And I did that. Every day I would just post. Those of you who follow me in Facebook or Twitter will know this, that for like about a week I posted only, maybe 2 weeks, I posted articles about peace and photos about peace and videos about peace and so on. And I did that for about 2 weeks, and then I stopped because I found another of my weaknesses is that no matter how much I care about anything, life sets in after a while and you go back to your routine. And but that produced more results than anything else I had ever done. And now I'm in conversations with the son of Arun Gandhi, Tushar Gandhi. He lives in India. And, Arun lives in the United States, as many people know. So through this focus of peace for about 2 weeks, I attracted to myself people, ideas, resources. I even had gifts regarding peace. So that's what I did so far, and you tell us. You're next.
I will do the Green Day, El Día Verde in Espanol. Okay, the Green Day. It will be a live concert in live stream, like we do it here. I have until now some great singers, some talents, not even famous groups. So I was thinking, why not to make the connection piece with music, because when there's music that the people like to listen, and it's maybe a chance to get people to see the concert and give the message, and then maybe it's also will have a big effect, you know. So I'm inviting now also the people who are watching this video or live now, that they can contact me if they want to participate, because it's very, very easy. I mean, the internet created by the new world order, let's say like this, but we use it also, or we can use it for ourselves also. Their weapon is, it's our weapon to shoot back, you know. So my idea is that the people who have a band, or who play guitar, or who are great singers, who have or want to show their talent. I mean, it's not just singing. Maybe someone is an imitator, or I don't know, talents. Okay, so that they also connect the day when there will be the event to Skype. They can do it from their home, or they can arrange a party, or maybe some people, they even can rent an auditorium or something like this. I mean, a little stadium or in a park, and just with an internet connection and with Skype, they can put their talents on live, and I can put it here in the live stream channel, and then later also on YouTube, that you can re-watch the whole thing. And this will be 24 hours, because you know the planet is round, and I mean, many people, maybe they are sleeping at the time when we are talking, so that everybody has chance to be part of this. So maybe 2 minutes or 5 minutes singing that guy, then a girl, then kids, then maybe old people, and it's no problem if they cannot sing well or something. It's important that the people do it with their heart. So this is the big idea what I have, the Green Day, because we want like the green lights, we want everything green, you know. So okay, the only thing is what I need now is to put the date. It will not be tomorrow, not even next week, because it will be a lot of arrangement to combine everything with the time, that there's not 1 hour without nothing. So that will be, I mean, I do this alone. I don't have an equipment here or a big office. I do this from my house, you know. So I hope also there will be some sponsors who wants to help, maybe with a better equipment, with a better internet connection, or whatever. That would be great. Or maybe a radio station that they can work with us together to bring that out. And when it's I mean, this is just an idea, but we can do it. The technology is there. We are talking now, you and me, and a million people can watch us. So I mean, it's possible. So why not do a live concert without paying tickets? It's completely free. I don't want that there are people gaining millions of dollars with that. I mean, it's just to get the message out that the people want peace, that the people want love and peace, you know. So this is my big idea. And maybe even when there are some managers outside and they like the music, maybe the people even will get a contract and will be better than Lady Gaga or Britney Spears or whatever. There are so many talents outside. I use a lot YouTube to watch videos, to to get information, and I found so great groups, and I wrote them, and they the most of them, they wrote me back and they say, yeah, great idea, I would like to participate. So I already I have like 12 people confirmed that they want to be part of this project, of this Green Day. So this is one idea I have, and I hope we can do it, you know. I don't know, do you like this idea?
I think it's a wonderful idea, and I have two recommendations for it. The first is that for those who have a big public library, like we have here, we have several big ones. Sometimes they have auditoriums that they rent out for $30. Like the city of Ottawa, you can rent an auditorium for $30.
Oh.
It has 250 seats, it has a stage, and a, you know, you projector, like it's a cinema, it's a small cinema.
Okay.
So that's the first recommendation. But the second one I like even more, which would be more into the Green Day spirit, to make peace fun and useful. It would be the people of color in the United States. I forget the name for it. There's a catchy name for it. Whenever somebody had difficulty paying rent or something, the musicians would come to their house on a certain day, and they would jam for all evening, and actually they would have a lot of fun, and that would, you know, they'd pass a collection, and that would pay for the rental of the apartment for the day, and that would help out whoever lived in that apartment. And if you just add the internet, you know, webcams, and that could be, I wish I could remember the name of it. Maybe one of you viewers knows it. But that went on for decades in the United States. It was quite original and unique in the world, I think. So those are my thoughts on that.
Yeah, but what I'm thinking would be also great that we are thinking to write a song together. I mean, maybe the people who will sing, they also can sing their own songs, but to put like a hymn, like a peace song, which like We Are the World, you know, with which was many years so famous, and everybody knew the song, you know. Maybe there are some good songwriters, some people who know a good melody, and put it together and to make a song that everybody also can sing that song. So
yes,
I mean, we can do a lot of things, and like you say, to rent a little cinema or something like this. It's also great because many people who are already famous in their country, in their city, or in their how you say, with their friends, and they can also come together and make it a little bit bigger, like a little concert. And whatever they do, it's their problem. I mean, if they charge for entrance, okay. I don't want to get sued. I mean, that's their problem. I mean, they can sell beers, they can sell, I don't know, hot dogs, palomitas, popcorn, or whatever. So I mean, we can make it like this. I put them just live, but they can make a party day in the place where they are playing, and after they were live, they can continue the concert, or also when they have a big screen, or how you say, a cannon, like the movie theater, that they can make a bigger picture of that event, to see what other people are playing in that moment, or something like this. So I mean, when this works out, we can really have a great 24-hour concert day, and enjoy it, and come together, everybody in peace, with cool music, and yeah, why not?
Yeah. Oh, this might appeal to your younger audience, but many of the mainstream media, mainstream cinemas are available for rent by the public before the movies start. Like in the morning, nobody sees movies in the morning.
Yeah, it's free. It's empty.
So it's empty. Now the advantage is that most cinemas now don't have reel-to-reel projectors anymore. It's all digital. Okay. And what they do is they invite you to bring either like a Xbox 360 consoles or laptops,
Yeah.
and you could project it on the big screen. I mean, you can even go IMAX with this idea.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can fill the hall with 300, 400 people, and they have stages, a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
And this could be a lot of fun. Rent the place for 4 hours and videotape the whole thing,
Yeah, exactly.
and have something for everybody.
Exactly. And after this, when there are people, I mean, with the cell phone, they have cameras. They can make a little video and upload it to YouTube. So it's not just my video. Also the people who are participating on this event, they also can upload their versions of the concert, how they had the party and the great time and everything. No? So yeah, I mean, it was like an idea. Okay, it's not just an idea. I have like a little guide when I sleep, and I mean I meditate a lot, and I get all this what I'm doing from this side. It's very spiritual thing, but I like it. I like this, and so I say we have to do it. I have to talk about this, and I hope the people will accept this. I mean, they cannot lose. I mean, anyway, they will play with their friends, or will continue uploading their videos to YouTube. Why not do something for peace and do something together? So this is the Green Day project. You know, the Green Day. I will name it the Green Day. It's copyrighted. So yeah, I hope we can do it.
Well, it's a good idea.
Yep.
And if anybody can make peace fun, it's you, Hans. And so I hope your Green Day works out. The last thing I had to say about peace is that now I mentioned what we've done briefly and over the last few years. And the next thing we're doing is we're writing together what I call is the last peace letter.
Okay, let's talk about this.
And it's a Google Doc, which anybody can edit. You don't have to sign in, or you don't have to be a part of Gmail. And so people, I give the link to the people, and the people are writing on it right now, and they're adding their ideas. And why I like this concept is that, and why do I call it the last peace letter? Because if we can make it good enough, perhaps people may want to use this for generations to come. And they won't need to make another one. They can just plagiarize this one with our blessing, you know. So I'm giving this approximately 3 weeks. Sorry, not 3 weeks. Yeah, 3 weeks for it to be finished and edited by people. And I'm very confident this will get somewhere because, because in the past, my experience with letters was that, for instance, you may remember that I did this chemtrail email campaign to Mr. Harper. That was successful. We didn't have chemtrails in Canada for about 3.5 weeks. And perhaps because, well, number one, because he received thousands of emails from different Canadians and perhaps people not from Canada, but who will care about the chemtrails issue. All on the same day. And which was 2 years ago on Canada Day. So chemtrail activity stopped, and I thought it was stopped for good, but then they figured, oh, just a few thousand people and in a population of 35 million, what's that? You know, so since we weren't a drop in the bucket, probably they resumed their activity. But we're happy it had an effect. So also, I had an email campaign called A Family Physician for Every Citizen. That also had a successful effect because here in Canada, many people praise our medical system, but it's full of holes and the ship is sinking. And a lot of people actually die in waiting rooms at emergency wards inside hospitals. They actually die there, okay? Like in one case, this man was in rigor mortis for 36 hours. He just fell off his bench. He was stiff as a rock. That was in the hospital of Winnipeg, Manitoba. There are other cases like this. So anyways, several thousand people participated in that one. we got plenty of responses from ministers, especially the Minister of Health. I can't pronounce her last name, the lady from Nunavut, or, well, from the Eskimo. I can't pronounce it, so I don't want to even try. But I have a lot of respect for her. And anyways, she said in her response, it was like a 3-page response, that we're doing this and this and this and that, and there's improvement, and we're still 8 million people, Canadians, without doctors. And we fill the emergency wards of hospital. Why? Because we have no choice. We can't get a medical checkup, you know. Anyways, to make a long story short, British Columbia, the Premier of British Columbia, responded by saying by 2014, every citizen would have a family physician. Well, that person is no longer Premier there, but anyways, the pressure worked. So I did another one. I told you we stopped fluoridation in Gatineau. That affected the lives of 300,000 people. So email campaigns are good, and they're better, much better than protesting. Now, they won't put you in jail for sending an email to your premier or your prime minister. Okay, it's legal and it's our duty. So this, the last peace letter is going to be written by a group of about 20 people or more. Anybody's welcome to put in their words or modify ours to improve them. And it will be translated in as many languages as we can. Certainly German, Spanish, English, French will be the first 4. But we want to make sure that we hit Farsi and Hebrew and Mandarin and Russian. But perhaps if it's written well enough, it could be the basis for a song. Who knows? Maybe that song that you were talking about on your Green Day idea. You know, the United Nations has a theme song. I don't know if you know it. It's from Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, the Ode to Joy. That's the United Nations. The People's United Nations, not the government United Nations. We need our own song too. So, well, as you know, and many of my friends know, I've been involved in the chemtrail activism, truth activism, for a while. And I have some 4,000 members in my different groups online on chemtrails. So this is an important issue that affects people in 27 countries that we've established. Now, I'd like to mention also the struggle for peace and the struggle for the truth about chemtrails are very similar, because both involve a certain amount of fear from the people and an amount of denial. But I would like to report some progress regarding chemtrails. But before I begin, for those of you who are not familiar with chemtrails, I recommend you 2 great movies from Michael Murphy, our friend, down in the States. What in the World Are They Spraying? In YouTube, and Why in the World Are They Spraying, which is his latest one. 2 great videos that will give you 4 hours of fun and information and facts about chemtrails. So rather than to convince you about chemtrails, just watch these movies. They're excellent, okay? Secondly, I have a video on my Canadian Spartacus YouTube channel called, I call it CPU, Chemtrail Pilots Unplugged, where I offer a hotline number that pilots from all over the world, chemtrail pilots, can contact me, and regular pilots can contact me to discuss the topic. And what I say to those who are actual chemtrail pilots, you can talk to me in confidence. I don't need to know your name, your phone number. I just want to have some facts that we can work with. And I'm starting to collect some of these facts. And to the pilots who are denying chemtrails, I had one call me this week, and he's been responding to my video on YouTube about Chemtrail Pilots Unplugged, the CPU. And I talked to him on the phone. I accepted to talk to him on the phone. And I said, providing that You're not abusive on the phone because he doesn't believe in chemtrails. And of course, he's a global warming, how do you say, believer. Uh, so he, uh, he started attacking me, but attacking me with adjectives more than with facts. So I said, okay, let's talk to each other professionally. I don't know if you're a real chemtrail pilot. If you're a real pilot, and I'd like you to explain to me a bit what you do. Are you a commercial pilot? Do you fly Cessnas or do you fly 747s transatlantic? And so he flies the big planes transatlantic. And from the vocabulary he used, I think most likely he was a commercial pilot. I used to be a flight attendant for a couple of years. So he was using the right vocabulary anyways. So I don't have any reasons to doubt that he was a pilot. But I said, okay, rather than just, well, I didn't say it directly like that, but essentially was saying, rather than use adjectives that, you guys are this and you guys are that, just tell me what evidence do you dispute about the chemtrail? And he didn't know what to say. No, if you're going to attack something, you got to have a position and you got to know what's wrong and what are lies. And so I said, let me help you a little bit. So I started asking him questions, and some of them he answered very, very well. I don't agree with his responses, but they were very intelligent. But then I said, let's take this a step further. Is it conceivable that the government, through the military or through hiring consultant commercial aircraft, can actually spray us with substances which are harmful, in fact, fatal to us? He said, they wouldn't dare. I said, have they in the past? I said, let's start with DDT. DDT was being sprayed all over the world over farm crops, and everybody knows that's been banned because of a woman called Rachel Carson, who wrote a book called Silent Spring. The book is called Silent Spring because she saw that the birds were silent one spring, and she wondered why, and she found out the reason was DDT. And thanks to this woman, DDT is illegal in most countries of the world, though it's being used secretly in some places. And thanks to her, the American bald eagle was saved from certain extinction. So I said, let's go away from DDT and go to another chemical called Agent Orange, a defoliant used in the Vietnam War. I asked him, I said, do you realize that these agents were sprayed by planes over the American as well as Vietnamese troops? He said, yeah. Well, he knows these things. He didn't admit it in the beginning. Okay, but there was a settlement. I believe it was $180 million back in 1977. The Vietnam veterans were compensated for being affected by Agent Orange. This man is a Canadian commercial pilot, and I asked him, I said, do you know that Canada's been using Agent Orange over forested areas, especially Ontario, for decades, and right now there's a commission to investigate that because it has caused the sickness and the death of certain Canadians. And so the phone hung up at that point. So my point was that not only is the government and business capable of doing it, but it has a history of doing it back since 1964. So would it be a surprise that they would continue doing this? And would it be legal or illegal? And if you would have asked me that question, the United States has legal provision that they can spray harmful or toxic substances or over populations for experimentation purposes. Now, here in Canada, where I am, the same was done over Winnipeg. The same was done in the UK over populations where they were spraying live viruses and so on the populations to see the effect. Okay? This was done without our consent, without people's knowledge of it, and it was later discovered. People were sick and so on. Now, government is capable, the government has been, and the government is probably doing it So am I surprised to hear that chemtrails are true? No, I'm not surprised. Um, so so my message for those who are not convinced about chemtrails, watch these two movies. It does a better job of initiating you to the subject and putting you in the right direction than I can in 5 minutes. And for those of you who are fighting chemtrails, don't give up. Now, the second and final point or development I'd like to talk about chemtrails is the police. I have been approached by officers of two police departments. I have met with them in person, one of them several occasions, and these people believe in chemtrails. Now, I was shocked and I was kind of afraid to meet them because I didn't know where I was heading. You know, the police wants to see you about chemtrails. And so I asked for identification. I saw the badge numbers and so on. Very good people. So I learned from that is that it's not all policemen who are for the establishment. Some of them would rather resign than harm us. But they're afraid to talk internally inside the police departments because higher levels are not for this kind of stuff. Okay. Now, I've got a police person who, from a very high level, who has just befriended me. Police department close to me. I don't know where that's going to be leading. I'm not afraid, because those who fight for truth know that it's more dangerous not to do anything than to try something. And what I am trying is peaceful and intelligent. I'm not protesting, I'm not burning flags. I'm sitting down and I'm discussing evidence and I'm sharing evidence. Now, it could well be that the higher levels of police know that I've been talking to the lower levels, you know, the police constables, and I don't know, I would rather not guess why a higher level police officer, police, or whatever, would want to befriend me and start discussing with me, but I'm happy for this opportunity. When you risk for truth, sometimes you realize might as well go all the way. It takes the same amount of energy, but usually the result is a lot bigger. I went to the Canadian Air Force headquarters here in Hull, Quebec, close to Ottawa. I found out at what time the officers, the pilots, left, and I was on that bus very often. And then one day there was a whole bunch of them walked in with their uniforms, and I started talking about chemtrails. I was stared by so many people. They didn't say anything. But there was a female officer, she had a lot of stripes on her shoulders, was screaming at me inside the bus. "You chemtrail conspiracy theorists!" And I said, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a conspiracy realist. And I would like to have an opportunity to show you a presentation, PowerPoint, to discuss our evidence about chemtrail activity right here in Ottawa, right here in Hull. We don't want to see your evidence. We know you're all nuts and this and that. And the other officers, or the other, I don't know what ranks they were, they didn't say a word. They were looking at her and they were kind of embarrassed by her reaction. If I am a nut, if chemtrail conspiracy realists are nuts, why would she get upset? I used to work in as a nursing orderly in a permanent psychiatric ward. I wasn't upset with them. They were my clients. I loved them. As a matter of fact, one of them said to me that one of the greatest compliments I ever had, "You know why we like you so much, Sylvain? Because you're one of us." You're just like one of us. So you don't get upset at crazy people. So I hit a very sensitive nerve when I talked to these officers inside the city bus. when I was kind of happy. It's embarrassing at the moment, and you flush and you blush, but I was very happy that I hit a sensitive nerve, because I want them to know that we know. I didn't blame them. I didn't say they were doing it. I'm saying that somebody's doing it. And if anybody should know, it's the National Air Force of our country. And it was them. And they were just sitting there looking at me. So anyways, I don't have much more to report on the chemtrail issue, except that my kudos for Michael Murphy's newest movie. And you know, there's so much fresh evidence every day that no wonder this movement is not only alive for more than a decade, but it's getting stronger every day, and day by day more people are looking up in the sky and saying, that's not normal. I didn't see that when I was like 30 years old. What's going on up there? Who's doing this? Why are the birds, why are the antelope, why are the fish dying by the millions, by the tons? What's happening? And why isn't the government inspecting the reason why these animals are dying by the millions, by the tons? This is beyond belief. I don't remember so many animal die-offs in my life. I'm 54, going to be 55, happening like within the space of 2 years. And the government's doing nothing about it. You know, the biggest oil disaster in world history happened in the Gulf of Mexico. And what did the government do about it? Animals are still dying. People are still being sick from this. But anyways, enough of my rant. I'm just very grateful that more people are waking up and people are graduating, because when you're a kid, you go to kindergarten, elementary, high school, college, university, you learn, you share information, you work this information, you defend this information, you attack other information. But when you graduate, you do something about it. And this is the stage in human history that I'm most happy to be in. I'd rather be here than in Roman times and than in Western times, because the people have a tool to share the truth, which is the internet, which is cell phones, which is technology. And now they've graduated. They're doing something about it. They're making radio shows. And our friend in France, he's making a magazine which will be distributed in I don't know how many countries talking about this. So the mainstream media, beware. We know why you're dying. It's because you're not representing us. You're telling us to buy products, you know, that we don't need, we don't want. And now many of the mainstream media are dying off because people are waking up and they don't want to buy any product that comes from a TV commercial. You know, this sugar-coated cereal. People are smart now. They're informed, and they vote with their wallets. They don't buy stuff that they don't think is valuable to them. And whenever the media hides the truth, then the alternative media will grow stronger. And hopefully a league of alternative media professionals will rise up and replace the mainstream media, or maybe the mainstream media will wake up in time and start talking about the truth for a change. And I'm certain that the truth will sell just as well. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much. By the way, I'm showing, while you were talking, I'm showing private pictures which I took from my cell phone from Mexico City. I mean, Mexico City, we are also getting sprayed like cucarachas. And I mean, this is not a normal sky. Right now, I don't think you can see the pictures, but later on the video when I upload it to YouTube, you can see this. And I have an album on Facebook where I uploaded also all my evidence about the chemtrails. And this is sick. I mean, this is not a normal sky anymore. And with the time, when there's passing a chemtrail, then the clouds are different. I mean, it's like first there's the big chemtrail, and then from this out, all the sky is getting a new you say, it looks different with more clouds in it, which are generated from the chemtrails. So I'm showing right now this, and they're blocking even the sun. I have taken many pictures, and it's horrible. I mean, when you see these pictures, I will put the link soon, that you can also find my album which I took. And this is not what is coming out of the planes, the normal contrail. I mean, this is sick. This is really very sick. So I mean, I'm 47 years old, and I remember perfectly well how the skies looked my childhood, because when I was a child, my mother gave me a telescope to Christmas. And of course, what are you looking with the telescope? Stars and buildings who are far away, but also planes. So I remember when I followed the planes in the past, the normal trails, the contrails, they disappeared very fast. They were maybe long, but not so long like we see them now. And in the past they disappeared, and now they are staying for hours there. I mean, this is not normal.
Regarding official answers, some of your members will know that in my group, Mass Action Demand, we did get answers from national leaders of 14 countries about chemtrails, including Obama, and the letters are available in the group, Mass Action Demand. Now, they all say the same thing. They say that they're contrails. And they refused to meet with us to discuss our evidence. But then they got a bit smarter, because we kept on sending these emails for a while, and they say, well, they're not contrails, they're persistent contrails. Contrails with a difference. So you can see they're changing their tune. So a lot of them did respond to us. But they're lying to us, and governments, as you know, some governments do lie, okay? Only children don't know, but some governments do lie. Exactly. There are many covers up. Now, I want to talk about the religio-political powers of the world. I'm not an anarchist. I believe in government. I believe in democracy. I believe in leaders representing the wish of the people. But I call it religio-political because whatever the politicians decide, the religious leaders of most religions in the world, not all, but most, go along with the story. For instance, if the Western world wants to attack some more Muslim nations, the Pope is silent. They don't talk against war. Now, this goes contrary to everything I believe about Christ and Christianity. You know, he's a man of peace. He was a tough guy. You know, he used to whip bankers and such. And, you know, he would call them snakes and sons of snakes. And he was a very colorful character. But he was a man of peace. And now, I'm not an anarchist. I believe in government. But I certainly hope that the religions will wake up and represent us, as well as the politicians wake up and represent us, because they can be replaced. And they, you know, the alternative, hopefully the League of Alternative Media Professionals, not the mainstream media, may one day be as strong as the mainstream media. I want to say something about the alternative media professionals. I approached the small newspapers, the local newspapers, you know, the weekly newspapers in different districts, because if you do a survey of your own country, you will see they outnumber the mainstream media in total circulation. And they will publish more readily the kind of stuff, the alternative truth stuff, that we can back, credible stuff, more readily than the mainstream media will. But I'm sad to report that they're being bought one by one, 10 by 10, by the mainstream media.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, the only thing that we have going for us in a big way is the internet. So let's use that while we can.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. We have to use all this technology, what they use against us, we have to use it also for us, you know, so maybe we can beat them with their own weapons. Hello?
Hello?
Ah, it's working! The first time of my
Yes?
life. Hello, how are you? Poke, poke.
Poke you back.
uh, yeah, on Facebook we are poking all the time. Okay, the people don't know you yet. What's your name?
Mariam,
Nice to see you. Nice to hear you. Where are you living?
in Belgium.
In Belgium. Okay. You
Yeah,
know
the
about.
smallest country in the world,
Uh huh.
almost.
Okay. You know, I think so. You know what is a chemtrail, right?
Yeah, I know. But it's difficult to show the people what it is. They don't believe. That's the problem.
Exactly. Exactly. So in your country is the same that the people they don't believe it, right?
No, they go, oh, that's beautiful. The picture I show on Facebook, blah, 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 blah. I'm going crazy with it.
I think they never have seen a blue sky before, a really blue sky, dark blue sky, because they're not even dark anymore. They're like milky, you know.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So, okay. Tell us a little bit, yeah, what you know about chemtrails or what you're doing, so people
Well,
will know
that's
you.
the big problem here in Belgium. I don't know where to go. Nobody listen. You can't talk to nobody. Just a few person. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. That's the same here in Mexico City. In Mexico City, I was talking a lot with my neighbors, with my friends, and they not even have seen pictures of this. When
No.
once I saw one and I say, look at this, and they say, what is there? And I say, you don't recognize something strange? And they say, no, an UFO maybe, or where? Say, no, 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 no. Watch. What do you see? They say, it's a sky. So they not even see the chemtrails there. And I say, and all the tail over there, uh, ah, it's from a plane. So what do
Same
you?
here.
Uh huh.
Last week I was taking a picture
Uh huh.
and they go to me like, what you doing? What you doing? You look at me like I'm an alien, huh?
Yeah. So it's very difficult to wake up the people because they, even when they see them, they don't know what it is, or they don't ask more about what it is because it's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know what to do
They,
sometimes.
yeah, I know. They go like, why would they do this to us? I show them evidence, like on Facebook. I show them the YouTube movies and everything, and they go, wow, that's YouTube. That's not true. Then
Mm-hmm.
what I have to do?
Exactly. Yes, it's crazy, and one of the biggest problems now is because the young people, they never have seen maybe the healthy sky like before, you know. So they grow up watching this, and for them it's of course normal because it's always there. So it's more difficult to convince them or to wake them up, you know, because they don't know any other sky. They say, no, it's there. I'm living. I'm here, so I'm not sick. I don't feel anything bad of this, you know. So it's very very difficult. Only the old people
Yeah.
like we, we know the difference how skies looked before. We know what is happening. But the other problem is the old people. Not many of them. They don't have Facebook that they can see other proofs of other people, or they don't have time to watch YouTube videos. Even my brother, he's only 3 years younger than me, but he not even has internet. He not even wants internet. So I mean,
Yeah,
once I talked to him, I told him, Thomas, do you know what is a chemtrail? And he not even knew the term of chemtrail. He not even have heard that name chemtrail. And I told him, okay, chemtrail is this, you know, all blah 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 blah. And then he say, Hans, you're crazy.
yeah, same here.
My own brother, he thinks this is not true, and he say, how they want to poison us is our government. They take care of us, you know. I mean, they take so much care of us that there are wars all the time, that they're killing people all the time. So much they're taking care of us. So I don't believe the governments.
But everybody goes like, I'm tired, I don't have anything, I no more energy to do. And then they say, you never ask you why you have it? And they go like, oh, maybe I have a depression or I get, no. Look up the air, look, you're crazy freak. And then what you say then? Yes, I'm a freak.
Hans,
Yeah, Gustav.
I'm a TI.
Oh, wow. Tell us what is happening to you.
Well, I get, well, I have, it started with 2009 December, but it was way before that it started. But anyway, I was sent to a psychiatric hospital for 11 months, made by an artificial psychosis. And what my symptoms are is voices, voice to skull, and hallucinations, severe hallucinations. So I can't handle it, and then I go back to the hospital. And I'm eating medication that I don't need to, because if I stop eating them, they start torturing me even more.
How do they torture you?
With hallucinations. You get smileys and stuff. You get smileys and stuff.
Sylvain, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. I was disconnected for some reason.
Yeah, maybe the reason is because they don't want you to talk. Someone don't want you to talk. Okay, I got two new people here. This is Gustav from Sweden and Rocketo from Belgium, right?
Yes,
Exactly. So
I'm the Poke Bunny. Yeah, we don't know what to do to expose it and to let people see what is happening, because they don't believe it. They go like, "Well, you're crazy. What you're saying? Why they do this?" Even when you show evidence, they go like, "Wow, this bullshit." But here in Belgium, you can't go nowhere, to nothing, to go together and do something about it.
Well, my feedback I have on that is I often meet people who criticize me and who judge me for believing in certain thing, and I do not talk to them unless they want to talk reasonably, talk evidence, talk facts. These people who just talk with adjectives, I spend no time with them. I prefer to find in my area people who believe like me, and I already join people who believe like me. And it is amazing. It is easier to find them than to convince them. And if your group, is big enough, then people are like sheep. If your group is big enough, whether it's true or not, they will follow you. But in our case, it's true.
I
But in
have many
Belgium,
from America and the UK and everything. There I have people who believe me and they do the same. But in Belgium, it's impossible. They just
Belgium is
do
a
their
special
business.
country in Europe. It is the headquarters for the European Union. It is
I know.
also the headquarters for NATO in Europe. It is also the seat of the headquarters for satanic practices, a practice at the Black Castle that I'm hearing about. There are many videos
I
about this
know.
black castle in Belgium. There are two of them actually, and so there will be a lot of resistance in Belgium. But there's a man I know. His name is Peter. He was the mayor of a town in Belgium. If you do not know him, I will connect you to him. He is the first person in Europe. He lives in Belgium. He's the first person to go to a police department and make an official complaint, and they wrote a report about chemtrails. And so Belgium is special in that respect because they have somebody like Peter and they have somebody like you who keep on fighting for the truth about chemtrails. So there are quite a few people in Belgium. Peter knows
Yeah.
quite a lot of people.
Yeah, you may connect
also-
me with him if you want.
Yes, I will. After I will find his contact information and give it to you in Skype. And I also want to mention that Peter is the founder of the Belfort Group. The Belfort Group is the largest chemtrail group in all of Europe. They made the first international conference on chemtrails. So
Whoa, this
these
is very, very interesting. I didn't know about it.
Oh yes, in all of Europe, the most active countries fighting chemtrails are France and Germany and Belgium, and also Spain. The others are a bit more quiet, but in Eastern Europe, Serbia is the #1 country that is fighting chemtrails.
Hi, Sylvain.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Okay.
I'm Peter Rosenholm. I started the international call with Lars that Hans has been on. I've been to the bioethics, to 3 of their meetings. I've been involved in the Big Brother billboards, probably a number of other things. I've belonged to a number of groups that deal with mind control and all the other microwave weapons and V2K and subliminal technologies used on subjects.
Okay. I mean, all this chemtrails, HARP, mind control, all this is connected in a certain way. So I think it's also okay that we talk about the mind control again, because many people, they don't know what is this. They say it's or they think this is a science fiction movie maybe, but okay, you know about the mind control. They control you.
They attempt to. It's a form of political and social control.
Mm-hmm.
These weapons were used in the Cold War. They're meant to control people's behavior and choices through subliminal. They're meant to control more drastically or attack, cause psychological illness or the appearance of that through V2K. The Army's definition says V2K is pulse microwaves that work on humans and animals and work in the capacity of hearing sound or subliminal. Subliminal appears as a thought. The entire population, I believe, is being subjected to subliminal. They did a lot of testing on me, including a dog attack. 2 dogs attacked me. My neighbor down the road was attacked by a dog and killed it. It seemed like a lot of the experimenting was going on around here. They use this same form at airports to keep birds away, so that jets don't run into them.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Dr. Barry Trower talks about it a great deal. It basically interrogations and the Cold War were fought over this, and they were really fighting over this technology, which kind of went underground in the 1970s. In other words, there's a great deal of information, the Frey effect, Dr. Sharp, James C. Lynn, all on V2K. and then the Army had it listed on its list of acronyms. I actually had a discussion with the FBI over it. 2 weeks later, they pulled it off. So, but many people have it screen captured. It's all over the place.
Okay. Well, and how did you get out of this? Mindset?
I'm not out. I'm not out. They did lighten up on me.
Are you
but
still
recently,
targeted?
the last month, they've been very intense. You've been on the calls. You know how much I've studied. And they want me to stop. Because it's a psychological attack. So I'm being told that this is causing instability among countries and regions. We know Manuel Zahela, the elected president of Honduras, was put on a jet, taken out of his country, dropped off, and told he was disposed. He snuck back into his country and got into the Brazilian embassy. And I believe it was a Miami paper, and probably others that wrote about, he was claiming he was being attacked by microwave weapons and gas.
Oh.
And these are the technologies used in the Cold War, and they're being used to shape the planet and society right now.
This is a war against people, against all of us.
It's in the technology. They used money. We need a job to live. They use many means. This is just another one that, number one, it's remote, covert. People don't even know that it's being done to them. We hear that it's being done in Walmart, and so we know it's happening, and I believe the government is using it on a massive scale.
Peter, they encouraged me to study on this, and they actually stopped doing things to me almost.
Yeah, they stopped for 2 years on me, during my waking hours. What I go through, during that period and other times is dream manipulation. Kind of post-apocalyptic scenarios. Psychotronic wars, nuclear war. I don't know where they come from. I had a dream where my brother's a nuclear engineer. He was being forced to go work at a nuclear power plant, and his family was upset that he had to move. I was with the girl, and I had to take medicine because she was contaminated. And these things don't come from my head. I don't read about nuclear war. But they're putting me in these scenarios, and how would I adapt? Others are psychotronic wars, and one was where the children weren't affected, but adults were, and adults were losing it. And I was with a group of people who could deal with it, and were trying to take care of the children and infants. It's
do they do things to children?
Do they do this to children? Subliminal, possibly. V2K. I know of a girl who just committed suicide at 24. Started when she was 18. So it may be that you got to be an adult. Most of us, we found 6 years ago, through surveys, found that we were almost all the same age. For me, I was 35. I got a vasectomy. I wasn't going to have any more kids. I had a robotic machine shop. Doing well. Built my own home. Built a home for my brother and mother. And my police broke into my company. Tapped the phone. Mail got interrupted. Customers stopped sending work after that. I got a job. I got carpal tunnel, which I now believe was induced by directed energy weapons. Got an operation. The first one, I think, was meant to hobble my hand. I ended up going to the head of the local main hospital, and him and another doctor spent hours trying to repair what had been done. And so I don't think carpal tunnel was ever my problem. It was isolating me for this testing. whatever you want to call it.
When they,
my marriage-
when they are doing something to you, what do you do then? What do they do to?
right now, I'm dealing with heavy attacks like I did many years ago. And many years ago, I stopped responding in any way, stopped reacting, ignore everything said. Some of the attacks, like I was attacked, put me in the hospital. Kind of brutal attacks. At the time, I had bought the materials to refill bullets to go to the range with my uncle. His brother-in-law owned it. And it seems like when I bought those materials, applied for a handgun, and got one, and I had other guns. I had gone through the hunter safety course. I had guns for going hunting. And it seems like I was a likely, you might want to coin it, Manchurian terrorist. That's my opinion, because the attacks began then, the isolation, and I am just not the kind of person who would retaliate. I mean, shame you'd bring on your family. Who do you retaliate against? They're remote, covert. At first, they moved into my home in the second floor apartment, and my house can be a two-family or a single. I started off two-family, and then I converted it as I designed it to be a single family. And then when we got divorced, I rented it. It was the brother of two police officers locally who moved in, and he would go to work, and I had a chair hanging from the ceiling, recovering from the operations, and others were walking around. And one day, even I knocked on the door. I think it was time to get the rent. Hello, and the door. I knocked on it and opened. I said hello, and somebody said hey, and they said hey, how you doing? And I says, come on out. He was down the hall, and he says, I can't. It was very strange. So I backed out. I thought my tenant was talking to me. It turned out to be someone else. When they left the apartment where they had tortured me from the room above, the tenant signed his initials above the door. They drilled 1,000 holes in one of the walls. They huge lump in the floor. I took the carpet up, and it was all white powder underneath the carpet. It was everything that, like the lights, the fixtures, they took all the screws out, and all the plates and light shades were down, but no screws to reattach them. And that was the first thing I had to deal with as far as targeting heavily. About a year later, they moved in across the street with another couple. And then I go into the police, call the FBI, state police, went to the FBI, gave them a floppy telling of what had happened. There was a lot of denial. Police came and said, you've been in the hospital. When I got hit with the Medusa attack, which was brutal, I went to the hospital. I was shaking and urinating brown, dehydrated badly. On the Medusa weapon, Dr. James C. Lynn is quoted in an article in one of the writings saying it can create brain damage. V2K, for the most part, if you look up James C. Lynn's work, is at such a low power, it hits the person's head, causes a rapid thermal expansion. That shock wave goes to the center of the head, is converted to sound in the cochlea, bypassing the ears. Medusa is a high-powered version. So when they hit me with it, I could hear it as loud as anything, and no one else could. And same attack mode. I had an attack mode like a car alarm, but it was exactly like the LRAD weapon. The LRAD weapon is a sound weapon that bypassed all international laws because they call it a hailing device. They're probably the same with the Medusa weapon. If you look up LRAD G20 Pittsburgh meeting, you'll see where they used LRAD on people milling about, and you'll hear exactly what I heard. But at one point, my son came out as I was trying to get behind the basement wall to block it, and he said, "What are you doing?" And I realized he couldn't hear it. And it was the loudest thing I ever heard. And I said, oh, I was looking for something. He says, at 2 in the morning, I apologize. And I went upstairs and I just bore it until the morning when I called an ambulance. On the way to the hospital, the ambulance got a call and diverted it to a small hospital. At this small hospital, the doctor wouldn't come and see me till he finally came with 2 pills, and I got drugged. Next thing I know, I'm strapped to a gurney being committed. I was tortured for 12 days. This is uncommon. People try to speak out about what's happened. It's one way of silencing them. Later on, I found I was being drugged on a drug called Seroquel. They told me instead of giving me medicine for anxiety, that they had to switch this to this other medicine. I had refused to take psychotronics and psychological medicine because I knew I had been under attack. So when they got me on this, they increased it, and at one point I had my heart raced to 180 beats a minute. Went to the hospital. I was there for 2 or 3 days. At the end, 2 women came in. They were plain clothes. They explained that I was on over twice the maximum dose, and that if I didn't get off this medicine and get rid of this doctor, I would die. So I started cutting down the medicine. When I got about halfway or 1/3, I confronted, the records department. I wanted my records. They called me in, tried to discourage me. When I finally got my records, I found out police had me hospitalized, accusing me of possible bomb making. And the police have never said a word. But now I have this in the records. The doctor who was drugging me was writing that I still had the delusion that I was under surveillance and that I had been attacked by a radiation weapon. In the record, it shows police telling them where I went. I didn't go to a psychiatrist as they had asked me to do, and I proved everything that was happening. They wrote a letter releasing me, saying I was coherent, and the diagnosis appeared to be false. That I had given them information on weapons that could explain what had happened, and that is where I was let go for a long time, till about a month ago. And I have a feeling it's because there could be a few reasons. It could be the international call. It could be I'm at the point where I studied so much and learned so much that they want me to stop.
I ask myself how get the people inside us or inside you, for example, they implant you something. You were once in a hospital and maybe they implanted you something, or how can they reach you, control you?
There are a number of ways. The Army lists microwave hearing as the main weapon, but there's supposedly sound above our ability to hear, below our ability to hear, possible ELF that they communicate with submarines. It could be an implant. Nanoparticles have been reported to receive a signal and give off sound. So, you mentioned chemtrails in the very beginning.
Yeah.
Chemtrails, I know that they can dust an area so it's more visible from satellites. To react with directed energy weapons, there's a writing that I found, a while ago, and the person who wrote it going to Salve Regina University near me, which is very close to the Naval War College, and I had recognized a lot of the weapons used on me, were developed by the Navy. And what it said was that microparticles infesting the enemy can enhance directed energy weapons, can cause locust cell mutations, is even reversible. I believe locust cell mutations is cancer, but they say it's even reversible, that they can make the enemy comply, and when they do comply, to back off. It's along the theme of non-lethal, but also along the theme of torture. So, I think we have a world right now that's unsustainable, You hear that a lot. And I have a feeling we're about to have a very great change in all governments, and I believe that the new world order is on the table. And they're gonna want to control people, and then it's not they don't want to bang heads with people, and have it be visible. And these weapons all, from the Cold War. What does anyone know about the Cold War? They hear that war took place. They don't know much about it.
Mm-hmm.
Barry Trower, who's a microwave expert, says that he used these microwave weapons so that people heard voices, could cause psychological illness. The main goal of interrogation was to find out what other countries knew of these weapons to have the upper hand. So this was a covert war. He mentions other things like HAARP could send a frequency that can activate, something like yeast. And yeast could carry a bacteria, and on that bacteria could be a virus. Mm-hmm. And it could set off a plague. I mean, technology's gotten to the point where it's beyond our ability to understand it all. But, militaries and different governments are using it.
Yeah.
It takes an extreme amount of power. The one in Alaska is situated, above what I believe is a methane field. Mm-hmm. And you know how they can convert hydrogen to electricity? I believe that's the source of power. So you don't see a reactor. You don't see, huge power plants just for one antenna array. Mm-hmm. But it has a lot of power.
Where did they get the power? Where did they get the power?
They get the power, I believe, through hydrogen to electric conversion.
Wow.
So that's what I'm saying. They are the main, they're the recipients of this methane field. I hear that, but the science I've seen on it is that it's ELF waves that can do that. Now, a lot of these energies enhance each other. I think you were on, and we talked a little bit about T waves that they use at the airport, disperse within like a meter. But the military are using them as a carrier wave on top of, I think it's infrasound or ultrasound, and they're able to project out many, many meters, detect roadside bombs, and blow them up with microwaves at a distance. Yeah. So, these energy waves, they work in concert. The two large ELF antenna arrays, I think they're like 5 miles long or around that, in northern Wisconsin and northern Michigan. So, it's very complex. Do they send voices subliminal? I think subliminal is more dangerous. People don't even know they're getting it.
Exactly.
I was in a boat one time, deep sea fishing, and what happened was a rogue wave hit us and slammed the boat. Some people washed along. We had a railing, so no one went over, and really get tagged. Very big boat by a very big wave. Mm-hmm. And it happens, and you wonder why there isn't a massive influx to Walmart on one day where there's 10 times the amount of people. I have a feeling they're controlling society in a way. Subtle thoughts. Too many people are thinking of going shopping. Well, we're going to cut it down. Maybe you should cut your grass today. People, when they go to work, I believe in a way they're probably doing some good things with this. But, to be hidden from the public is not that good, and we don't know everything they're doing with it. But I think of that as an example, that they are regulating society. One day we were reading, do you know about the Schumann resonance, the Earth
Yes.
projects?
Yes.
Right. 7.83 hertz, and we live within that, and most of our emotional states, be it sleep or excitement, are a little higher or lower than that. If you were kept at an artificially low one, you could be depressed, suicidal, high ones, you can become agitated to riot. With microwaves, they can also do this, and Barry Trower says the 6.66 pulse rate can cause a man to commit violent rape. When I see these politicians having these affairs and stuff like that, I wonder if they're being set up. You know what I mean? They're doing things they wouldn't otherwise do. In either case, on this one morning, we recognized, I think it was like 3.9 hertz. Just fairly low. What it is long-term memory. So you might be thinking about all the things you have to do. I've been working on this. I get ready for the vacation, etc., etc. Then around 9 o'clock, maybe, it seemed to switch to around 12 hertz. 12 hertz affect the brain differently. One side of the brain, you know, is affected as anxiety, and the other is affected as technical thinking. So between the two, I can see people at work, anxiety causing them to be more productive, the technical thinking helping them do a better job, and this making society more productive. I think that's another way of influencing society. You say clouds, weather manipulation.
Yeah.
There's a treaty where each country can only use weather manipulation within their own country. And Russia announced that there would be no snow in Moscow. And sure enough, sunny days, temperatures in the 50s, you know, unbelievable for Moscow. And all they did was they seeded the clouds before Moscow. And then the last I read on it was there were massive forest fires on the western side or eastern side of Moscow, where since they seeded the clouds, they didn't get enough rain, it became dry, and they were having fires. Yeah, when you see the Jesse Ventura show, and he talks about Katrina going into Louisiana. He mentions that after that happened, and he said it was very strange that hurricane didn't zigzag like most hurricanes do, and that it seemed to take a beeline for it. He mentioned a high pressure system then developed off of Florida, and for 5 years, not a single hurricane had hit the United States. And you know, I was very surprised, and that did happen.
Yeah.
I was just watching a video, and it was a lecture at MIT, and it was saying that our system of capitalism is non-sustainable, and it has no other course but to crash. That we're using resources planet-wide that aren't sustainable. We're gonna run out. It's based on consumerism, which overuses raw materials. A lot ends up in a dump. And I do believe there's got to be another way. One other lecture I saw at MIT, and I forget who the lecturer was, but he mentioned he even had a video of Bill Clinton. I think it was called, Bill Clinton called it the New Way Forward, and he mentioned in the future the military will regulate scientific advancements in research, and they will look at as a military means first and exploit it that way, and then they will determine at what rate it should be disseminated to society. And I'll be honest, we're at a point where technology is advancing so quickly, and we know that there were a great deal of microbiologists who died. Car accidents, cancer, a plague could so easily wipe us out that technology does need to be watched. Capitalism is not sustainable. People are not having good lives. Many people are being worked like slaves, like you said. When it only takes 2% of the people, I believe, in America to grow enough food for us all to eat. So is the 95% waste. Companies trying to make money, people buying consumer products to keep it all going, causing waste, filling dumps, polluting water and air. You know, it's time to think a new way. That's
Of
for sure.
course. Yeah.
A lot of people were getting the subliminal, and they call it the 11/11 phenomenon.
Uh-huh.
And I'll tell you, for me, my car was due to be inspected on 11/11. I kept looking at the clock; it would be 11/11. It was a subliminal thought. What time is it?
True.
And they did it right at 11/11.
That happens to me
And
too, man. Uh-huh.
so I twisted my brain on what does 11/11 mean. And so finally, I found a population clock, and it was at 6 billion, and rapidly turning. And I took a number at one point and went 10 minutes or 15 minutes, took another point. I calculated at what point it would hit 7 billion, and it hit 7 billion on 11/11.
There's something
So
really
I
true in this, yeah.
I think that may have triggered, when things were going to begin.
Uh-huh.
There's a military writing that says they will control the population with subliminal and propaganda. They will create terrorists
Mhm.
with computers, which I believe is the V2K, and what they try to do with me. And they will usher in the New World Order. They said a third party will arise at the 2012 elections that will usher in the New World Order.
Mhm. Yeah, it's really true. The 11/11. It happens to me all the time when I look at my computer clock or my watch, whatever, any watch. I always see 11/11. That's so crazy. Good that you mentioned that, because I thought, what a coincidence, but it seems it's not a coincidence.
No, if you go Google 11/11 phenomenon,
Okay.
what is it? 11:11 phenomenon. You'll see page after page.
Okay.
So many people had that subliminal thought, and that's an example that we are getting subliminal thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Wow.
a good one. My son was even born on 11/11. It's just so tied to my life. You see all the surveillance. You know about total information awareness. The military is monitoring the internet, and they
Uh,
send subliminal, but they also are reading people's subvocal. If you look up subvocal speech recognition, you'd see with little pads in someone's throat, they can read your unspoken thought, what you're thinking out loud.
mm-hmm.
They're polling the planet. They're polling the population. They're gathering data. I think they've got the quantum computer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're trying to forecast where we're going, how to
Mm-hmm.
slow things down, how to change things.
Exactly.
Population growth has dropped in America drastically
Mm-hmm.
in most of the modern worlds. And part of that consumption, pollution, a lot of that is population, your rent going up. And look, we want families, right? We know that 2 children, that's sustainable. And so, it is time for a new way. I don't know if the new way planned is going to be good for us.
Mm-hmm.
But the way we're going isn't going to work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean.
I mean, I was in industry with that robotic machine shop.
Mm-hmm.
I was taking off. I interfaced the first home computer with a computerized milling machine. I was making abstract molds
Mm-hmm.
for packaging, and and I even look at the packaging, clear plastic in the store. You buy it, you throw it away. It's very wasteful. It's ending up in a dump.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to start thinking differently.
Mm-hmm.
Science is about. Dr. Nick Begich was on a radio show, and I got to talk to him.
Uh-huh.
And he said, at this rate with supercomputers, we are doubling our knowledge every 6 months, which that's unbelievable. I mean, just to double at once.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But every 6 months we're doubling.
Uh-huh.
He says when the what is it called? That other kind of computer I just mentioned, quantum entanglement, the quantum computer.
They're
When
organic
that comes
computers
out,
also.
then all bets are off because they do computer simulations with quantum mechanics and other sciences that they can't afford to do with supercomputers. It would take years to run the simulation. The quantum computers will be spitting out the answers.
Yeah.
And then we will far surpass doubling our knowledge every 6 months. With the quantum entanglement, if you have two atoms that are entangled, what you do to one happens to the other, even if it's on the other side of the earth, regardless of space and time. This connection exists outside space and time. If we have entangled atoms with another planet a billion light years away, we should be able to communicate with them. If that's possible, we may be communicating with other civilizations out there. The military is just taking over SETI, search for extraterrestrial life, and I'm wondering if that is also accelerating technology rapidly. You know, just going to school for engineering, I understand the difficulties of communicating with a spaceship at Jupiter. So to look at another galaxy, we're talking million years to communicate. But if quantum entanglement can be used to communicate, it will be instantaneous. So if there are changes in people, it's more likely genetic engineering. When you read on global governance, they talk very much about genetic engineering. They also talk about transhumanism, merging people and computers, which would explain implants. So, you know, what we're seeing, sometimes we don't totally understand it. There could be a few reasons for a lot of things. It's just that we know things are changing rapidly.
Exactly. Oh,
We are producing microchips on a massive scale. There was just an educational program on Niagara Falls, and they mentioned Tesla. And that man just took off. So much so they shut him down. Most of his work is classified to today. You know, and I never heard this before, but they mentioned in this show that he claimed to be speaking with aliens. And I don't know what that could be.
My name is Rin, obviously. What do I do? I'm a PHP programmer. And watching the show. Good show, by the way.
Yeah, I was just talking about a tower that Tesla built on Long Island. And he was being funded by Westinghouse. And he said, from here, I could power the entire world wirelessly. And that's when Westinghouse cut his funding and said, if you can power the entire world, where do I put the meter? So in either case, he felt at that point he could wirelessly power the world. A lot of people think it was scalar waves. I guess one writing that was in a Colombian paper written by a man named Fahar, which is the Canadian TI group. He mentioned that the Russians were working on torsion physics, which is two helical waves that like DNA that carry far more information. And he mentions that the U.S. was working on Scalar, which supposedly, you know, picks up free power through the atmosphere and can penetrate anything. So, you know, we have a lot of questions about the weapons that they are using and difficulty stopping them. So that's one of our concerns. But I think they're basically like propaganda. They're like money. It's a form of control. It can be a form of elimination too. Number of suicides, number of deaths, heart attacks, cancers. Dr. Trower says that there are a number of pulses that cause any number of cancers and illnesses. Some psychological, some are cancers, and we know the cancer rate has gone through the roof. I've seen a lot of people lately die. Ted Gunderson I was supposed to speak for him at the President's Bioethics, and of course they sabotaged the whole thing. I was in a hotel and could not sleep. Laid there all night. So I was 2 days with no sleep, going to speak for him. They told me I couldn't. When we had prearranged, called the President's Bioethics, they agreed. He had been in charge of 700 men at the Los Angeles FBI office. And he had turned private investigator. And he was exposing basically crimes to children. Child rape, child kidnapping, stuff like that. And he was starting to get what they call organized stalking. Break-ins to his house, leaving pennies, stealing his material, and he got brain cancer. And a flight had been provided for him to come and speak, but he got too ill, and that's why I was going to speak for him. And a month or so later, he died. But there was an FBI agent who worked in COINTELPRO, basically against the Black Panthers at the time. And, you know, he thought he was doing the right thing, but when he retired, he had, you know, he took a couple PI jobs, and it just turned him, you know, against some of the things that were going on. Have you heard of the Georgia Stones? It looked like the inner section of Stonehenge, kind of.
Okay.
And it's written in like 4 languages, and it's believed to have been done by Ted Turner, but I'm not sure whether, you know, anyone can prove that or not. But it says man can be a blight on the earth, and it like declares that there will be a population of 500 million. That would be a huge loss of life.
Oh, of course, we are 7 billions.
Yeah. That would be 6.5 billion people to go. And so I say that we, you know, rather, you know, than revolution, that we work within the system, because we're far outgunned. And, you know, we're going to have to learn to live with less. We're going to have to find a way to cut our population, become sustainable, you know, not pollute so much, not burn fossil fuels so much. But on the upside of that, the military announced about 2 years ago that within 10 years they would be off of fossil fuels. IBM predicted, I think 6 months ago, that within 5 years we will generate the power at our home for our home. So I have a feeling that Tesla's work is coming out, or some other method. So, I mean, with all these scientific advances, could be things to aid us. And we may have to accept less. We live in a consumer world. We buy a lot of junk we don't need.
Right.
You know, and it might be time to get down to basics and you know, and not work like a slave. Spend more time educating ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, working with the planet and nature. That's my hope. After Second World War, there was a congressional investigation called the Reese Committee. And this committee was headed by a man named Dodd. And they were to investigate the non-profit organizations, normally philanthropists, charities, giving money to different peaceful projects. But when they read the minutes of the Carnegie Foundation, they found out that what they were discussing was how to get Americans to give up their freedom, their rights, and their wealth to the point where we would live like Russians. And they decided that, you know, war was a way, because then we looked to the government for protection. So they decided they needed a never-ending war. And Edward Griffin is who you'd look up the video on YouTube, Edward Griffin of the Reese Committee. Uh, he believes that the Homeland Security, this war on terror, is the way to have war never end.
Mm-hmm.
Always looking for terrorists that aren't there. Do you know what I mean? And to have us think that, ooh, somebody's gonna bomb us or somebody's gonna this, and then we're constantly living in war. To me, the money we spend on war is unbelievable. What a drag that is on our economy. That would be health care for everybody, food for everybody, transportation. That would do it all. But the world's got to get along to do that.
You want to say something more, or we can finish?
Well, I agree with you. Don't feed the beast.
Uh-huh.
Buy locally. Buy off people around you who are growing food, who are building products. That's the way to keep the money in your area.
Mm-hmm.
Help your neighbor.
Exactly.
Yeah. You're right. This is God's world, and nature will take it over if we don't do it right.
Exactly.
It's gonna break soon, but
yeah,
we don't need money, do we?
We don't.
They print money.
They print it, exactly.
And then they charge us money to borrow it. So,
Yeah.
I tell them, you run that thing for another minute or two and send me a bundle, because that's about what it amounts to.
Exactly.
We don't need money.
Exactly. It's
we need
illusion.
Food. We need health care.
Yeah.
We need a life.
Exactly. So thank you so much for being there. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. And back to you on my Skype. Peter, thank you so much for your time also to talk. It's very interesting. You're a very intelligent guy, and I'm proud to be your friend. So
great to be on, Hans.
Okay, and we will continue with this because I like it. I like to help people. I like to talk. I like to spread all this, and I will continue with this. And also thank you to Rin. Are you still there? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, he's still there, but
yeah, I am. Turn down the mic.
Okay, and also to you, poke.
poke you back.
Yes, I will poke you on Facebook in some minutes. It was great to have you here, and it's great. I mean, we have this technology which was invented by the bad guys, by military and everything, but we have to use at least
use it against them.
Exactly. It's the only weapon we have, so it's great to see you finally here on Skype, because many people I just know from Facebook, and we say hey, hi, or we poke each other, but now it was the first time, for example, with Rin and with you that I was listening at you. I'm very, very happy right now. Thanks to be your friend also. And okay, I will turn off the live stream in some seconds, and yeah, I don't know when will be the next time, because I have to work, because I don't get paid for this. I don't receive any donations, so I cannot promise you it will be tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe in 2 weeks. I don't know whenever I have the possibility to do it, but if you like it, share what we have spoken, and later the video on YouTube also, please share it. And yeah, have a great day all. Thank you so much. I love you all. Peace, and go nature, go not just spending money in the movie theater. There are many movies online for free, even recent movies. And yes, and yeah, there are better ways to spend money, or even to save money, because there's so many things for free. So thank you all.
True.
See you later.
See you later, alligator.